Okay, and we're back. So we've gotten a little bit more done here. Or I've got it where I want it anyway. Took out a few more nuts and bolts that were floating around, and a couple things were hidden, like, or that you're really not going to see. There was a hinge and some other brackets here that you're just not going to see. I also did some damage. Took out a couple sections. You're kind of limited because you can only really edit the actual triangles, and if they're just straight flat pieces, there's not much you can do. So you go over here, brush, you get the actual brush, and you're able to do this. Now, if you can see this where you get the jagged part, that's good. You want to have that because when you delete it, it looks ragged. So that's what I did, was I just kind of went around the pipes. In some cases, I didn't do the whole pipe because of it's not going to be seen anyway because this is a one-sided material. I guess you could, no, you can't really do that. So for whatever reason, you can't select just that section of it. I don't know why. But usually you can pick, cut it all the way through. But for this particular kind of methodology, as long as it ends up showing, like you can see here, you see the inside of the pipe, you see the broken half of the top part. There it looks like it's kind of sleeved, that's fine. It just looks like something is either busted out. Like that one, you can kind of see the back side of the pipe, so that's nice. In some cases, it'll just be completely clear all the way through. And we're going to do 0. And then we'll turn the rest of these back on. And what we got to do now is get the tires. Okay. And let's do... Now, these are set to 0, but I only got 1. And I'm going to replicate the 1 again to save on materials or any other potential clashes like that. So if it's identical, then it's just going to reuse the same stuff. So we have to do this one a little more manually. And that's just going to be your typical method of, alt drag, line it up, blah, blah, blah. So we're just going to drag that out here. In some cases, like the sports car especially, the back track is wider, so you have to pull I might have to do that on this one anyway. So you have to pull the tire out a little bit more, to go out a little more this way. Not that far, of course, but just to get it to line up with the thing better. And let's see, we're going to see if this will look good here. And you can get this as precise as you want. I'm just eyeballing it just to get where it's centered in the wheel well good enough. Now you can see this tire looks a little faceted. You can definitely see how it's got, some of the other tires are much smoother and rounder. So you could mix and match the tires. I'm not sure if they're all identical sizes, but you could compensate for that by just scaling it a little bit to fit a particular vehicle. The rim would be the different thing, obviously, is the biggest thing that would be different from one vehicle to the next. But you could mix and match the tires too. So if you really want to get really efficient about this, you could use this tire or one of the other tires on most of the vehicles or something like that. And then they would share materials. Well, not really share materials, but they would render pretty good, a little bit better. And again, you could do this more scientifically and other methods to get this much more accurately aligned if you want to. I'm just doing this because I don't need that much accuracy, but I do need it. I'd like it to be close and as close as possible, because there's the old adage, something worth doing is worth doing right, or at least the best that you can. But you also have to consider, time and the target of what you're trying to do, the goal, and factor those in as well. In this case, I need it close, but it doesn't have to be precise. Now, with this method, though, the tires are going to go completely smooth, so you're not going to see all this texture. Because when you try to reduce this stuff down to one material, something's got to give, and the tires are one of the main areas that gives, where you get just entirely, they'll just be completely black and smooth. But I'm going to show you a trick on that with the textures, if I remember it. A lot of stuff to remember. This is very complicated stuff. There's a lot of tedious, just even the editing and stuff that I did with all that other stuff I showed you is very tedious. There's a lot of details, a lot of small, fine things to remember. And one of them is with the textures. I'll say it here just in case I forget. With the textures, when they come out, these tires will not be this dark. They'll be a little more washed out, a little more grayish. Because, again, we're getting it down to one material, and it's making educated guesses on that and estimating. So the tire's going to go kind of off black, not dark black, because it's going to try to estimate this sheen, but it's not going to get it right. So what you can do is you can go into the textures, and within a little bit of a range, You can reduce the brightness or adjust the contrast in the texture itself, right in the texture. There's a control panel down there for adjusting saturation, brightness, and such. And you can actually pull down the black levels a little bit. Now you got to be careful because it pulls all the black levels of the entire texture for the base color. I'm talking about the base color. So you got to be careful about that. But you might give you enough of a range, depending on the vehicle and how all the rest of it comes out, to pull that black level down to get the tires a little bit darker to look a little bit better and not quite so grayish, you know. They won't really be gray, but they'll be kind of that weird black that isn't black, you know, but it isn't gray either. It's just like off black or whatever you want to call it. All right, so now we got the tires in the group. Now, let me go show the folder prep here. We go to parts. I'm going to make another folder, call it whole, and I'm going to do another one, and this is going to be a variant with the doors open, which is pretty straightforward, but the entire process will be exactly the same for both of these versions that you'll see. So I'm not going to detail it as that much. I'll just tell you how it's done and kind of show you briefly what I'm doing, the idea of it, and you can replicate it yourself. We take this, and we're going to go with Actor, convert to static mesh, Car UE5. I call it full because I want it well, it's going to be full resolution. Actually, I want to say, for my own purposes, trimmed. So I know that I trimmed out. I didn't just assemble the raw pieces. That I trimmed them out. Oh, we got to take a quick look at how much I saved too. I got to show that real quick. It wasn't a lot compared to other ones, but it's, you know, a savings is a savings. Go to whole. Spit that out, and then we'll dive into what this is and what this represents and how you got to fix certain things in it, because even though you combine this, it doesn't always put, you know, the material for this mirror or this door or whatever in the right place, and you sometimes you often have to go in and fix them. We'll get into that in a second, but first let's grab, so you can see it's not right. We'll fix that though. Okay, so the mesh for the exterior part is 235 710. The reduction gives us 185, so about 50,000, which is, you know, not bad. It's 20%. Like I said, for these cars, it's about 20% is what you can reduce with removing the unnecessary parts. You get better results on the really big ones. So the trailer, the semi, the garbage truck, possibly the delivery truck, and the bus. You'll gain more like you'll reduce it to more like 2/3, half or 2/3.